Yeah, coach. Next up is obviously a big challenge. I mean, for any player, for any coach going up against one of the so-called Sota giants, always something to look forward to.
Yeah, most definitely. I think we know Pirates are a good team. We've got a very good coach as well, and they've been playing, good football. And we haven't been, really consistent, but we happy that we've won our last two games. A little bit of consistency here and there, and I think the confidence is back in the team, and we've had, two additions which have brought in, a lot of difference in the team, in terms of morale as well. And I think we are in a good space as well. I think this is the right time for us to be, facing Pirates.
Well, speaking of those additions, I think you showed an interest in George in the last day of the window. What made you bring him in, and what do you expect from him?
Well, I think we all well aware what George can give in terms of his quality. He's a big player. He's played for Chiefs. He's played for Sundowns. So it says a lot about his quality as a player. We are aware that he hasn't been played for the past 6 to 7 months, and but I'm really happy and motivated with his attitude towards training, his attitude towards wanting to play again, to play regularly. And I think it takes a lot for him to to decide to leave a team like Sundowns and say, no, I want to go out there and play football. And that's very key. And he's come in and he's gelled very well with the rest of the team. He looks happy. That's very key for us as well. And he looks motivated, and he played his first 20 minutes against Arrows, and I think he did exceptionally well. We're still trying to build in his match fitness, and I think against Pirates he will also play a role. But I think by the time we play Baroka, he will be ready to start.
Was that one of the things that he spoke about when during the contract negotiations and stuff, that he needs to go to a place where he will definitely play?
Well, I think you are never guaranteed playing time wherever you go. You've got to work towards that. And I think he's been doing that. That's very key. He's only trained about 10 days with us. But I can see the hunger and desire, to play. And that's what makes him to play. And he's shown that. And I'm happy, because I know he's a quality player who can, bring a different dimension to our attacking structure. He's very good on the ball. He's very creative. He's an effective player because he creates and he scores goals. That's very important. I can see that in our third goal, he created it because he's the one who gave the pass to Tebza. So that's what we're trying to get out of him.
Coach, the mere fact that we have players such as George, the likes of Mpolisi on loan, doesn't that bother you for the long run? Because you actually want to cement your team, that you actually go out and probably the next season and challenge for silver.
Well, I think it's very key for us to really focus on where we are at the moment. That's very important, because we need to try and finish very strong. And we are happy to have these players, and we take it game by game. And in terms of their futures, we well aware that they're only here for us, short term, and we will see after that. If their clubs are willing to give, to release them, then we can decide that after the season. But we've got to respect that they are not our our players. They belong to Vets and Sundowns, and we have to respect that.
Coach, a guy like Fakri, he's left the club, but as a youngster like that, were you guys not seeing a future for him here at SuperSport?
Well, I think as for Fakri, it had to do with contractual challenges. I think he decided to move because probably he was offered more. You know how it is, because his contract was coming to an end, and we couldn't do anything to stop him. It was his decision, and we've got to move on from there.
Coach, we already 10 games to go, but how has it been for you this season?
Well, I think my first year, it's been, inconsistent, I would say, because I think we started very well. We reached the MTN 8 final, and we lost, and we were doing very well. We were a bit consistent in terms of getting results, but also we lost our most influential players. I think for the better part of the first round, where we lost Dean Femin, Ivan Zosike, Broderick Kobla, and our team was a little bit disjointed, and that's when we started giving an opportunity to players like Kamo Mahlatsi, Kakiso Malinga, Jones Lungu, and I think they did exceptionally well, to try and sustain, our campaign, because even though we didn't have our strongest, players, we finished third in the first half of the season. And now the players who were injured, our top players are coming back, and we are starting to get our rhythm back. And we'll see how it goes. We still have 10 games, which is 30 points, to play for. So it's very key that we give it our all and see where we end.
Coach, the possibility to finish in the top three still exists, and should that happen, you face the prospect of returning to Africa. Is that something that you are interested in at this point?
Yeah, most definitely. I think SuperSport is a very ambitious, team, and I've always said it, that we always want to be there, play, competing in Africa, and it builds, the team, in terms of, our branding as well, and the players mentally. It builds the players. They come back, in after learning a lot, because a lot of things happen in Africa in terms of traveling, in terms of periodization on us as well as coaches. How do we need to train the team because of the demands of playing in Africa. So we would want to go back again, because we lost in the final, and probably want to do better. That's very key. But we always want to be there. We always want to be visible in Africa, playing in Africa week in, week out. I think when we reached the final, people started noticing that, oh, there is SuperSport United as well in South Africa. So that's very key for us.
Coach, you spoke about reaching the MTN 8 final. Now you're speaking about trying to see if you guys can get back to continental football next year. If you look at reaching a cup final and maybe finishing in the top three, do you think that will be enough to give you another year in your coaching stint?
Well, what's important is the job which I do on a daily basis in the club. That's very key, because what's important sometimes in football, it's not just about targets. It's also about building, for the future. And the club, this year we've been going through a transition, because people, tend to forget that 6 months ago we survived relegation, on the last day of the season, and we ended up finishing 7th with a little bit of luck. So it's also about, building the team for the future. That's very key, bringing in young players here and there. And I think I've done that. I've given opportunities to a lot of youngsters, who've had, match time, like Jamie Weber, Sipombule, Kamo Mahlatsi. I think he's played about 700, minutes. And for me, that's very key. And we still have a lot of youngsters as well, like Luke Leroux, there's Luke Flares as well. All those youngsters are still, not yet there, but I want to try and give them that room, that opportunity to play, because I also come from development. I was an academy coach, and you need someone to give you that window as well to to play, because it's not easy for young players. That's why it's very key that young players play, not because they're young. They play because they work for it. They appreciate the opportunities, and that's the message I'm trying to to drive to our youngsters, that this is an opportunity. You might get one game, but you've got to show that you need more. You got the hunger and the desire to play in the PSL, because it's not easy to play in the PSL. It's not about 1 or 2, 3 games. It's about being consistent throughout the season. That's very key.
Coach's question. Speaking of youngsters, you must be thrilled with how the likes of Tembo they've actually fled in the team. You look at the likes of Camilo Mazele,
Yeah, Mahlatsi.
Yeah. I mean, like giving those young players who actually manage to grab the opportunity, actually produce the results. But you look at the likes of Darren Smith. You loaned him out to Cape Town. I mean, what was the inception behind that?
Well, I think it was very key for us to try and give him an opportunity to go and play regularly. That's very key for any youngster, because Darren is already 24, so we don't classify him as a youngster. And I think behind him there is Jones Lungu, who's 20, and there is Kakiso Malinga, who's 23. So we needed to try and give him an opportunity to go and try and do it even in an NFD, improve himself there, where it's a little bit tougher, because he was doing well in the MDC. But we wanted to, try and take him to an environment where, he grows, both, in terms of game time and, they're growing mentally as well, because that's very key. And the younger players which we have, it's always important that they know that if they do well, if they work hard, they stay focused, they stay grounded, they're going to get an opportunity to play.
Can you see the 11 goals, top goal scorer in the MDC?
Yeah, Kanyisi Lemayo, we've also loaned him to Maccabi, because he also needs to play at a different level, because sometimes it looks like he was doing well at the MDC level, but let's see NFD, how is he going to be able to cope? If he does well, we bring him back. If he still needs another year or two to play there, we let him play there. But it's up to him also to try and seize the opportunities, because it's not any player who just goes there from MDC and goes and get an opportunity to play in an NFD team.
Thanks.